Okay, guys, so we have a different sort of cutting test this time. This one is going to be called the Fireaxe test. So a lot of time when I'm being asked about the properties of a sword, everyone asks, does it cut well, or is this a better cutter than the other sword? And that's not usually, I mean, that is interesting, but that's not the sort of way we measure a sword. A sword does not just have to do one thing like cutting better than something else. That's usually someone who's coming from role-playing games or video games that wants to know, does this sword cut better than another sword? And if you want that, you don't want swords, you want an axe. You want a fire axe that's just going to maximize how well you can cut something, because a sword has to be able to stab, it has to be able to ward, it has to be able to defend yourself, it has to be able to be light and maneuverable on your hip, in addition to being able to cut very easily. But it's, at the end of the day, we still want to know how well something can cut. And it's very interesting to be able to see on our light targets when the sword is able to deliver a clean cut and go all the way through. But something like this is a heavy target that's going to show exactly how far each sword goes through and stops, can give us even more information, because it'll not only tell about the edge, but it'll also tell about the inertia, the mass that is behind the blade and the blow, and give us an idea about how much penetrative ability it has. So this is my archery target that is normally used for my thrusting testing. This time I have it set upright. It's not super duper steady, but it should still give us some idea. So I'm going to go at this with one or two swords. If it lasts, maybe we'll do more. But I'm going to be giving it maybe 70% power if I'm going to be doing several strikes. I don't want to blow out anything. And we'll just see approximately how deep the sword goes. I'm going to do it from this side so you guys will see my back. And we'll see how it goes. So we're starting with a nice thin blade initially that produces its cutting power via speed. And so this is the white arc Han era gen from Alkechen. So let's see. We have demarcations in 10 centimeters. And first blow looks like we get to about 18 centimeters. A simple overhead strike. That one went very slightly further to about 21 centimeters. So two strikes from the white arc. Maximum we got to was 21 centimeters. Type 14, Albion Sovereign. All right. So we went at a different angle, so I took a chunk out of it, and we've got down to 25 centimeters. I'll do one more for it. That one made it to about 22 centimeters. This is my Kingston arms that I've been comparing to the Sovereign recently. And again, I have a sharp side and an unsharpened side. I'm going to use the sharpened side, give it the best chance. So that went to 13 centimeters. Hit right at the center of percussion on that one. That was a good strike. A little bit better that time. 19 centimeters. I think we have just enough foam left to try some single-edged swords. So let's start with the longest messer. This is the Gottfried from Landsknecht Emporium. All right, so we got to 19 centimeters on the first strike. and a very consistent 19 centimeters on the second strike. Next up, the Ottoman Kilich from Passeri Handicraft. This one happens to be the winner against types of open cell foam targets last time. So we'll see how it does this time. All right, I'll have to go on this end. All right, 15 centimeters on the wrist powered cut. And looks like we got to 26 centimeters. And lastly, we'll try the Yanling Dao from the late Ming Dynasty from LK Chen. I have a little bit of space over here. My poor peg came out. That might be the last strike of the night. So even with the peg coming out, we still reached 25 centimeters. I can try to see if I'll get another one, but it's not going to have the integrity I need. It's too wobbly. Yeah, I don't think I can do another one. So in a perfect world, we might be doing this with stacks of rolled tatami. Tatami is, of course, hard to come by, but it is kind of the industry standard for doing these sorts of controlled testing of going through a big, heavy target. The archery foam is reasonably consistent, but you can see it gets chewed up pretty quickly. So even testing maybe 2 swords would be a lot for this type of a target before it starts to lose integrity. This isn't particularly scientific. I only was able to give this each sword maybe 2 strikes, but it still gives some idea of if the swords are, in the teens of centimeters, or if they're closer to 20 or 30 centimeters, as to how much ability they have to cut and penetrate. Quick takeaways: the very light white arc with this very narrow profile was able to compete with the very big, heavy Albion Sovereign. A lot of people might not have intuitively suspected that just looking at the 2 edges. But the striking power and the cutting power of those Han era Jun are not to be underestimated. They can thrust very well. They can cut very well, even though they're very light. The Sovereign still was probably the winner. I'd have to go back and crunch the numbers to confirm, but not by as much as we'd perhaps think. The single-edged swords, oftentimes they're considered to be the superior type of cutters. It will still depend on which sword and what size and what mass. So just because it's single-edged does not automatically mean it is a superior cutter than a double-edged sword. So keep that in mind when you're looking over them. I have one more foam target, so maybe the next one, if I can ever repair my stand, will be used for double-handed swords, which I suspect will be a completely different profile than the single-handed ones. Anyway, until next time, guys, take care.